Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my page 112 tag game for October 2025. This is also my Buzzwordathon pick video for 2025. It comes a bit later, so if you want to skip to that part of the video, go to the timestamp right here. But anyway, the page 112 tag was brought to BookTube by Robert Breath's Books several years ago. It's based off of a French literary prize wherein they comprise the long list of said prize solely by reading page 112 of the books in contention. This is supposed to be past all of the polished for editors pages when you get to the raw, real writing. And without the context of the rest of the story, technically speaking, you can only judge it based on the quality of the writing. Well, I guess you could also base it on some other things, but you're supposed to base it on the quality of the writing. So I have been using this tag since COVID to slowly whittle down my physical unread shelves while building them back up again. Each month I go into my Books and Cats mug, which inside has pieces of paper. These are all of my physical unread titles that I acquired in 2024 or earlier. So I go ahead and I randomly pick out 3 books from this mug, and then I sit down and read page 112 with you. Though I do feel like I have to start with a disclaimer in this video, because I do this video every month, technically to add a book to my TBR every month. But I am a bit behind on my page 112 tags. I let other obligations, take up all of my reading time for past months. And there's little to no way that the book I picked today will actually get read in October. But in planning out my monthly TBRs as I do, I definitely have it in mind that I don't want to exit 2025 with a balance of a lot of 112 tags. So these will get read, including this book, within the next couple of months. And I do enjoy making this video either way, so why not just, keep to the schedule here? And without further ado, that means I can go ahead and pick my 3 books for the quote-unquote month. Starting with book number 1. Just hoping I can, reach into these. These kind of get warped or whatever over time, and I just want to get to one at a time. I didn't see anything. But these are 2. See, but 2 stuck together, but this is just 1. Okay, there we go. Someone to Run With by David Grossman. Okay, so this is a relatively recent acquisition. I think a lot of the books in here are from 2024. This one I got from a used bookstore, the Carpe Librum bookstore in DC, I believe it is, that the money goes toward education programs. And I found a handful of old books by some Israeli authors I really like, including David Grossman, and this is one of them. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see how I get along with this. Next we go to book number 2, hoping for some sort of variety that hopefully I got at a different time and place, or it's a different subject matter or genre, although a lot of my genres in here are basically general literary fiction, but we'll see what this one is. Haunting Paris by Mamta Chaudhry. This is, I think, more historical fiction, maybe World War II era or slightly after. And I think I got it from my library's used bookstore at a different time, at least, in 2024. So there's that. And finally, book number 3. If there is anything earlier than 2024 in here, I'd like to get it, because that would help me with my post-production. But we'll see. I'm trying to play by the rules here. I'm all totally random, and just gonna grab this one. We Are the Brennans by Tracy Long. I think, or Lange, maybe it is, but yeah, I think this is also 2024, and I think I might have gotten it at the same time, at the same place as my last book, so what do you know, but it's definitely different. It's not historical fiction, it's more contemporary American family drama, so that could work. Okay, so you've seen me grab all three of these books. I actually am going to read page 112 to myself first, just to gather my thoughts, but then I'll be back to you, so stay tuned. All right, I'm back and ready to read and discuss these books with you, starting with book number 1, Someone to Run With by David Grossman. I actually have to start, I think, pretty significantly into page 111 because it's a really long run-on sentence. So I'm going to start here and then, end a little before the end of page 112. So anyway, that's my 411. On top of that, there were the hundreds of shop owners and vendors and falafel and shawarma sellers, people standing behind stone counters and peddlers in the bazaar. The coffee house waiters and the lottery ticket hawkers and the street beggars, and each one of them constantly calling out with a mute, insistent cry, "Me, come to me, only to me." Of course, in the chorus, there had also been quarrels and jealousies and competition for the good parts. Each time the conductor gave someone a solo, 3 others announced their resignation. But it looked like child's play now compared to what she saw on the street. Yesterday, for example, when she saw that the circle forming around the 2 Irish girls with silver flutes was much larger than hers, she felt a pinch of jealousy much more bitter than the one she'd felt when Italia from the chorus was accepted into the Manhattan School of Music in New York. Today, as she bowed gracefully in front of her audience's lit-up faces, in front of their hands applauding her enthusiastically, she knew she truly wanted to play the game here according to its rules, to fight for her audience and tempt them, to be daring and amazing and of the street. She even thrilled to the street as an arena of unending struggle, a war of existence waged at each moment beneath the cheerful, colorful, civil appearances. She knew that to survive here, she had to free herself from her delicately refined tastes, to be a guerrilla fighter in developed urban territory. This is why she took 5 big steps away from Lutz and positioned herself in the middle of the pedestrian mall, sent a wink in her heart to Helena, who had always complained that she didn't have any of the ambition that was so vital for an artist, that she was spoiled and refused to fight for her proper place, avoiding competition of every kind. And now look at me, the center of the universe. Would you believe it's me? And she sang, in the richest and clearest voice she had yet achieved since coming to the streets, Billie Holiday's God Bless the Child. As she was about to start the second song, the Russian accordionist suddenly started playing Happy Birthday to You very loudly, and the Irish girls with the flutes from down the street joined in, as did the blind violinist from the Lund's Alley who played Ursat's gypsy music, and to her surprise, even the 3 men from Paraguay with their guarded faces and their exotic, gloomy instruments. They all came and surrounded her and played for her. Okay, so this one, I think, reading it a second time and after ruminating on it, I think I understand it a fair bit better than the first time I read it. This seems to be a young girl from sort of a privileged background, like from some sort of music school, but she is now hawking on the streets, or maybe in a mall, but no, I don't think so. Like that first sentence that I went to page 111 for is obviously a outdoor street vendor sort of setting, and I'm pretty sure it's Jerusalem because I do know a little bit about this book, and it's supposed to be about sort of Jerusalem culture like this. And so, yeah, I mean, at first I think I was confused because it was kind of talking about both of them at once, about her privileged life as some sort of singer or dancer versus what she's doing on the streets. But now it's definitely making more sense to me that she's thinking back to the old times, but she's really grounding herself in this new sort of competition. Although at the end of this actually seems surprising, like maybe it's not a competition, or maybe these other people who are hawking their wares actually are going to join her, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll split the difference of the money or something. But it seems like a surprisingly optimistic or friendly ending, although maybe I'm misreading the situation, misjudging it. Maybe they're, more nefarious goals in mind. I don't know, but I am feeling a lot more engrossed in this story on the second read. Book number 2 is Haunting Paris by Mamta Chaudhry. Sylvie overhears Alice and Anna Carvalho discussing the clivia in the stairwell. Discussing is perhaps too strong a word. The concierge is talking volubly, while Alice just listens and nods. Walking upstairs, Sylvie encounters Madame de Troisi on the landing and calls Coco to heel. She knows the older woman doesn't like the dog coming too close. Not that Coco has ever shown any desire to frisk around either the judge or his wife. In his own way, he is quite as snobbish as they are. "Ah, bonjour, how are you managing with our Americans?" Madame de Troisi inquires, as if the tailors are a shared tribulation. So the judge's wife now thinks they are on the same side of the divide. Sylvie smiles and replies that frankly she finds them a breath of fresh air. "It doesn't derange you, having them so close?" "Not at all. It's a great comfort." "Très cozy, no doubt." Madame de Troisi sniffs as she goes back inside. Sylvie is amused by this reminder of one of the unspoken rules of Les Riches. Being exclusive always entails having someone to exclude. She grew up hearing about Les Riches. Her mother observed them as an anthropologist might some reclusive tribe. Returning from work at Madame Wanda's, Iwa would say, "Les Riches are a nervous people, very anxious about their fine things, but they'll hate to admit it. If a guest spills red wine on a rug, they'll shrug as if they have hundreds of abusons rolled up in the attic. But the maid knows they'll make her scrub the stain for hours." Okay, I have a bad feeling I did a lot of bad pronunciation of French just now. This one feels a lot more straightforward. It also started right after a break, so that was a lucky break, no pun intended. This definitely makes me assume it's historical fiction, maybe during an occupation, like the American occupation in France, perhaps. I don't know. Or maybe not, because there's some sort of snobbery going on from the Madame, but from our POV character, there doesn't seem to be any, or her snobbery is against the Madame and the judge that is her husband, seeing them as snobby rich people. And then there is that little bit at the very beginning about another character, I think, talking to the concierge about something, but certainly the characters aren't what necessarily grabs me here as much as actually wanting to get more of an understanding of the historical time period and the sociology going on behind it all. And finally, book number 3 is We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang. Dealing with Billy Walsh being back in town was one thing, and they would absolutely be dealing with that fucker one way or the other. But if he had a specific agenda behind the loan to Denny... Her forehead fell down against her knees. "No," she said, "I don't think it's a coincidence." And then there's a break. Early the next morning, he went to the pub to help Cale with deliveries. It was a 2-man job, and Denny had some function at Molly's school. But Jackie forced Sunday to come with him. She hadn't come out of her room since their talk, not even for dinner. He covered for her, told everyone she was sick. Deja vu from when he made excuses for her 5 years ago. With his typical warmth, Denny had said, "Tell her to stay there, for Christ's sake, so the rest of us don't get it." The clock was ticking. It had been a day and a half since Denny told them about Billy Walsh, and she still refused to talk about it. As they got to the pub, she mumbled hello to Cale and disappeared into the office. "She all right?" Cale asked. "Yeah, she's fine." But Cale stared after her like he could see through the door. He wasn't buying it. Apparently, even now, he and Sunday were tuned to each other to an obnoxious degree. They'd always been that way, like they'd lived in their own little world and the rest of them just visited from time to time. When they started dating in high school, Jackie had been angry with both of them. Not only was Cale best friends with Denny, now he was taking Sunday too. And she was breaking an unspoken pact. She was the one person he could count on to be in his corner, to drop everything and take his side without fail, while the rest of them were coming down on him for shitty grades or being lazy. And he was that person for her, unswerving support when she had an argument with Denny or needed something from their parents. Cale was usurping his role, and Jackie wished he would get his own damn family. Okay, so even after a second read, I feel like I have to keep this open to try to understand what it is I just read. The first part, which is in media res, is much more straightforward, actually. I'm going to assume that the she is Sunday. That's going to be hard for me to remember as a male or female name because it isn't a traditional one. But Sunday is the she that is worried about Walsh being back. And then there's the break, and then characters go to another place to help Cale with the deliveries. I think we're in Jackie's POV. Jackie is also a name that could be either male or female, but I think in this case it's the male name, the he. Jackie is forcing Sunday to come with him. Denny, who was also mentioned briefly in the last section, had to be with somebody else who's named but we don't know about. But anyway, so it's Jackie, the man, and Sunday, the woman, and we're in Jackie's head, and they go to help Cale with the deliveries. And Cale is concerned about Sunday, who goes into another room, and Jackie is resentful about it and starts grousing about the past, like when they were dating in high school, and he's like, well, nobody's on my side, basically, and he goes into, I guess, some specifics about that in both cases. He does have sort of a funny, sardonic line, but other than that, this man is kind of annoying and, you know, self-pitying. And I'm obviously having some trouble still with this book, and at first I really thought she was head-hopping between characters, but now I think she's just dumped a lot of character names in. But the first small part, I think, is from Sunday, and then the second larger part is from Jackie. And this just isn't working for me as well. I get that if we'd read the previous 111 pages, I'd have more of an understanding about who these characters are, but jamming them all into this one page doesn't help me stay on target with what's actually happening and the big things I should be focusing on. So this is the first book I think I will be putting down. And that leaves me to choose between these two books, either Someone to Run With or Haunting Paris. And I actually think, as sometimes happens between reading to myself and reading on camera, my decisions flipped. Because at first I thought I would just go with this one. It's straightforward. We know that Sylvie's our main character and that she is living with a snobby madame and also some Americans who don't quite belong there, and I'd get a dose of World War II history in France, I think. And then I was thinking with this book, at the beginning I was having a little bit of trouble trying to understand where the she character is, if she's in her art school or if she's on the streets. But on second read, I feel like I understand it a lot better. I understand that we're on the streets and that she's pulling from her art education to discover who she wants to be on the streets as she's hawking her wares. And in general, I feel like the actual setting and the characters are just more intriguing here, whereas in this one, I'm more intrigued by, you know, this history and so forth. I mean, what we know in this one is that Sylvie is caught between some Americans who don't belong there, but we don't really get to know them. And then this snobby madam. And, you know, that's okay. And I'm still going to be interested to ultimately read it. But I feel like this is such a more interesting, richer display of somebody, a character whose name I don't think we even know, but we already know so much about her personal, internal, you know, ambitions and past struggles and how things have changed and complications and all of that. So as a character reader, I definitely feel like, yeah, this one really is the one for me. Okay, and now on to my Buzzwordathon pick. Those of us on BookTube might know the Buzzwordathon readathon every year. It's put on by Kayla at Books and Lala. Traditionally, what she does is she goes through title trends from the past year, and she crafts 12 prompts, one per month, for participants to go through. And then this year she added cover prompts as well and added a completely new reading set of prompts where we use these trends in cover publishing as well. And in these cover prompts, I found a lot of inspiration that I could use for a humongous book haul I went on in the middle of last year, which was my Raid the Shelves book haul. So Raid the Shelves is put on by the Jewish Book Council, which is a website I basically live on. Every year they have enough of a backlog, I guess, of books that they get sent by publishers and others, and they want to clear their space. And so they open up the floor, like, you know, you buy a ticket and so forth, but anybody who wants to can come and grab as many books as they want. And so 2024 was the first year I did it, and I had a great time, and I brought way too many books home with me, so I wanted to make sure I justified reading them, or at least a fair chunk of them, as quickly as possible. And the Coverathon, Buzzwordathon worked great for that. As you can see, I've been very diligent, and I have been reading my one book a month, going by each prompt. And for October, our cover prompt is to have a weapon on the cover, and for this one, I definitely had to be a little more creative. I mean, I feel like weapon on the cover usually is code for fantasy, but I didn't pick up any fantasy books from the Jewish Book Council, alas. So I went with this one. I went with Lich by Sarah Lippman, thinking, well, there has to be something on the cover that can technically be used as a weapon, and I think a chair can fit the bill. You know, you can pick it up and swing it around. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it, and that's not his purpose, but you know, it can be done. Hopefully it won't be done in this book. I guess we'll see. I assume the chair actually will have some sort of significance. And that about covers it for me now. I will leave the Goodreads links for all the books I referenced here listed down below if you'd like more information, as well as a link to my playlist of the TBR games I play. Mostly it's the page 112 tag once per month, and then I have a quarterly game I also play, so check it out. I'm a little disappointed by how put off I was by We Are the Brennans, which I think was the most popular pick of my page 112 tags here. So if you've read it, I'd certainly like to hear your opinion. I do think I will ultimately get to it. I have a copy. I'll find a way to ultimately get to it, but that page didn't impress me as much as I hoped it would, but onward and upward from here. And I should be back on this channel soon with a Friday Reads video. You know, now that I'm acquiring a TBR, I gotta start reading, or even if not these books, I certainly have others on my list, so stay tuned for that. And thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.